everybody, and welcome to another episode of Paul and All. As always, I'm your host, Paul, and I finally got a guest on the show, and I'm a bit of a loser because the first guest is my mother. But no, for real, she's the person that I wanted to be on the show because although she's my biggest critic, I always say she's something of my biggest cheerleader as well, so there was no one that I could decide on as my first guest other than my mother. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Ruth Casey In. I'm Paul's mom, and he always says I'm his biggest critic, but I am his biggest fan no matter what.
We're both just getting on the overside of a cold. We've had a cold the last week or so. So if we sound a little sniffly, we apologize. I probably won't be cutting this episode too much, so pretty much you're going to get what you're going to get with this one. One of the things because we were trying to decide what should we talk about on this episode, because we talk a lot, and I thought one of the topics that we've been discussing for the last few weeks has been all of the celebrity deaths of 2016. You know,
the worst year ever.
Yeah, the year
in quotes.
Yeah, the year of the Reaper, they say. So we decided to look it up, and we both have separate articles, and we figured we could just kind of dissect the concept of 2016 being the worst year ever for celebrity deaths. So I found, of course, a page from Snopes, because let's just go through some of the deaths because to me, death is about caliber, not necessarily number of people. Because, yes, okay, like for example, Leonard Nimoy was 2015, I believe. That's a big death, but also in 2015, and I really don't mean any disrespect, but one of the little kids from Everybody Loves Raymond, not as impactful to me, because I believe that kid was also in 2015. So they're not, those two, even though they're the same year, they're not exactly on the same level versus
to you though, but
to me, yeah, of course.
In all fairness, there are people. That's part of the article that I have is the difference in what makes a person's death, which celebrity is the most impactful, why are we the saddest because this person died as opposed to that person.
Oh, absolutely. But see, to me, impactful, David Bowie, Prince, Carrie Fisher, Gene Wilder, those are people who are of a higher caliber to me. And again, it's strictly to me, and this is my show, and my opinion is the only one that matters.
Okay, that'll be all for our show for today, because my opinion means nothing. There you go.
Okay, so why don't you give us the list of just some of the... Now, this is from 2016?
Yeah, this is the list of the famous people's deaths in 2016.
Now, wait, really quickly.
This is the top... This lists top 30.
Really quickly, I do have to point out, I've been talking with a few people because I do have another podcast series up, and I find it funny how we say 2016, but other people, whether it be in other parts of the world or just other states in the United States, they always say 2016 or 2014. I have always said 2014.
Well, because it was always 1999, 1998, 1997. You didn't say 19,000.
Yeah. I don't know. Hearing you also say 2016 just made me think of that really quick.
That could be because I'm the one who raised you, but
Okay.
Okay, so this is per Wikipedia data, and these are the top 30 famous people's deaths in 2016. David Bowie, Prince, Fidel Castro, George Michael, Muhammad Ali, Antonin Scalia, couldn't get that one out there for a second. Leonard Cohen, Merle Haggard, Pierre Boulez, Shimon Peres, George Martin, Arnold Palmer, Andres Wajda. I don't even know who that is. That makes me a terrible person. Leon Russell, Umberto Eco. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that name.
I have no idea. I looked at it. It's multiple
consonants and very few vowels. John,
And we don't want to disrespect someone
Exactly.
by butchering their name.
Exactly. John Glenn, Johann Cruyff, Debbie Reynolds, Edward Albee, Nancy Reagan, Janet Reno, Nate Thurmond, Terry Wogan, Peter Maxwell Davies, Ellie Wessel, Walter Cohn, James Cronin, Alan Rickman, and Hillary Putnam.
Okay, so those are the top 30.
Yeah, Putnam, not Putman.
Let's see, of course, my Snopes article, and I'll read it verbatim. Is by Dan Evan. This is from December 28th, 2016. So if I'm not mistaken, this was actually even before Debbie Reynolds, because I believe that was on
The 28th.
the 28th.
It might have been around that. That could have been why the article came out.
Right.
You know.
And of course, we shouldn't also forget William Christopher from MASH died moments before 2017
Exactly,
hit, or
yeah.
2017, as I normally would say. Okay, so the article, again, Snopes, Dan Evan. Was 2016 really the deadliest year for celebrities? The passing of entertainment icons such as David Bowie, Prince, Carrie Fisher, and Muhammad Ali this year left many people feeling 2016 was an unusually morbid year for celebrities. Of course, attempting to quantify such a feeling involves several basic issues. Primarily, what makes a person a celebrity, whose deaths are considered notable. For instance, the Los Angeles Times listed 91, quote, leaders, stars, and other notable figures who died in 2016, unquote, while CBS News charted more than 150. So what standard or standards do we use? Since there's no official body that determines the relative fame and importance of individuals, we'll examine this question by reviewing the notable death lists published by a variety of news outlets between 2013 and 2016. Because, for example, like The Hollywood Reporter has 57 in 2013, 47 in 2014, 152 in 2015, and 180 in 2016. Whereas CNN, for example, has 150 in 2013, 127 in 2014, 159 in 2015,
But what does
and
the
100.
Hollywood Reporter consider?
Right, because it's the Hollywood
Wood
Reporter
Reporter,
versus CNN, which covers
news.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And then it continues to go on a little bit, but I mean, you guys can check out the article if there's anything else of note. I will obviously bring it up in the discussion.
You can put a link in the down bar, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So my article starts out with, was 2016 the worst effing?
My mother doesn't curse. For
Yeah.
those of you who don't know, she curses, but she doesn't say quote unquote the big ones.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So it asks, was it the worst or was it the effing worst? Okay. David Bowie, Carrie Fisher, Muhammad Ali, Prince, George Michael, Nancy Reagan, Alan Rickman. On their own, thinking about each celebrity death in 2016 may break your heart, but those names in a group from your core may erupt a common refrain.
Wait, I'm sorry. Who wrote this article? Where is it from?
Oh, this is from BuzzFeed.
Does it give an author?
No. Oh, yep.
Yeah,
Sorry.
two authors actually.
Sorry, folks. If you listen to our podcast, I'm so embarrassed. Not you all,
Yeah,
but
no.
the reporters.
No, we're embarrassed that you're listening to this because how lame are you?
Yeah. Wow. Yes. Please like and subscribe. Katie
All
Hasty.
three fans of this show know that I love them.
Katie Hasty and Jeremy Singer Vine are the BuzzFeed news reporters. Anyway, the names in a group, it says, from your core may erupt a common refrain. 2016 was the effing worst. But proving qualitatively that we lost many of our, in italics, best in 2016 is in the eye of the beholder. One man's Gene Wilder is another man's Richard Pryor, who passed in 2005, or another another is Robin Williams or Joan Rivers in 2014. In 2003, Johnny Cash, Nina Simone, and Barry White each shuffled off this mortal coil, 13 years before Merle Haggard, Leonard Cohen, and Phife Dawg. Debbie Reynolds' December 28th death, one day after her daughter's, is also the anniversary of Lemmy in 2015, Susan Sontag in 2004, Sam Peckinpah in 1984, and the great composer Maurice Ravel. You can go right to hell, 1937.
Which is weird. You said Lemmy, and it's funny because I remember when David Bowie passed and Alan Rickman passed so early, because we just had the anniversaries very recently. And I remember kind of everybody at that time being like, "Oh, Lemmy," and now those guys, because of the fact that it was so late.
Well, wasn't it not announced until the beginning of 2015 that Lemmy had passed?
It would be 2016.
Or in the beginning of 2016?
It was, because it was the 28th, so it was kind of everybody was in that New Year's thing. I think it was maybe the 29th it was announced.
Yeah, I thought it wasn't announced until after the beginning. Okay, you want me to keep reading this? Well, because the idea is that there were, in any given year, there were multiple deaths, okay? So they're saying qualitatively, it depends on what you consider, what was impactful. Whitney Houston in 2012, Miles Davis in 1991, or Michael Jackson in 2009. Like each
and of
one
course,
of them.
the funny thing, I'm sorry to interrupt you, the funny thing, though, about the Michael Jackson one is that most people don't remember that, I believe it was earlier that day, Farrah Fawcett passed away on the same day. And nobody really remembers that because Michael Jackson, I mean, you hate to say it in these terms, but Michael Jackson was more popular than she was.
At the time of his death. At the time of her height in popularity, she was way more popular, because let me tell you, for as many people who had Michael Jackson posters on their wall, there were about 10 times as many who had that Farrah Fawcett pose in the swimsuit. It was just one of those things. Okay, but so it goes on, and it says, using this list, we could point to other bad years for the arts. In 2009, Michael Jackson, Patrick Swayze, Farrah Fawcett, Brittany Murphy, Claude Levi-Strauss, and John Updike all passed. In 2012, Whitney Houston, Donna Summer, Michael Clark Duncan.
I always forget that it was 2012. It does not seem like it was that long ago for Michael Clark Duncan.
Yep, Etta James, Dave Brubeck, Ray Bradbury, and Ravi Shankar. In 2004, Marlon Brando, Ray Charles, Christopher Reeve, Superman. It has been gone since 2004. That's amazing to me.
Superman to some people, by the way.
Well, okay, Superman to me. 1997 was Princess Diana, Mother Teresa, Jimmy Stewart.
They were the same year?
Yeah. Princess Diana, Mother Teresa, Jimmy Stewart, Jacques Cousteau, and Robert Mitchum all passed away in the same year. And if you were alive in 1977, these deaths probably took your breath away. Paul has no clue about, he was like way too young for this. But in 1977, Elvis Presley, Charlie Chaplin, Joan Crawford, Bing Crosby, Groucho Marx, Freddie Prinze, Maria Callas, who was an amazing opera singer, and Roberto Rossellini all passed away in 1977. So
the only one that I knew of those offhand was Elvis Presley. That I knew that he died in 1977. Obviously, I knew that the others, of the ones that I knew they were gone, but I didn't know it was all in that same year.
But it's like, when you look at it as this year had the most impactful, I think a lot of it has to do with the immediacy of the media. The fact that within minutes of what happened with Carrie Fisher, somebody was posting about it on the internet.
But see,
I was on a flight and this happened.
You're right about that. But again, I'll argue. Do you still have the list of people from 2015? And realistically, between 2015 and 2016, there wasn't much of a change in terms of social media. Twitter, Facebook,
Okay,
all of
here's
that
the
stuff
list.
was pretty much just. Would you argue that
Yes.
they were pretty much?
Yeah.
You would argue that?
No.
They would. I was
agree.
gonna say, yeah, they were pretty much just as prominent. So could you please give us the?
Okay, here's the list of from 2015, the people who died: B.B. King, Yogi Berra, Natalie Cole, James Horner, Christopher Lee, Terry Pratchett, Moses Malone, which
I don't know who that is.
he's a basketball player.
Well, sports. I don't know
yeah.
sports.
Abdullah of Saudi Arabia, Roddy Piper,
I know that sport.
Clark Terry, Leonard Nimoy.
No, wait, you skipped a few names
Yeah,
here.
because I don't know who that. APJ Abdul Kalam. I don't know who that is. Dolph Shays. I don't know.
But
Clark
see, apparently
Terry.
they're ranked pretty high on this popular
Actually,
list.
that's not their ranking. This is their ranking over here.
Oh, okay.
I guess I don't know whether it's the dates of their death or whatever. Continuing on, Leonard Nimoy, I don't know, somebody. That's Yoichiro
Yoichiro Nambu.
Charles Towns, Otto Carius, Dusty Rhodes, Alan Toussaint, Ornette Coleman.
But see, like these
Yeah.
to me, and this is just, I mean, two of those names in terms of wrestling, because anyone who's listened to the first two episodes knows that I like wrestling. But like, yeah, okay, I know B.B. King, I know Natalie Cole because I also like music.
But there's also, as you go down the list, Omar Sharif, Mario Cuomo, Lemmy,
of course, we just mentioned that one.
Charles Kennedy.
I don't know who that.
Maureen
is. That
O'Harris.
like one of the Kennedys?
I'm not sure.
of,
Howard
like-
Kendall. I don't know.
But do you see what I mean? So like, yeah, you could say, oh, the immediacy of the media in 2016.
But there were names on 2016 that we didn't know either. So,
But look at here are the top names from, okay, you heard the top names just mere seconds ago, the top names of 2015. Top names of 2016: David Bowie, Prince, Fidel Castro, George Michael, Muhammad Ali. That's the top 5. I don't think you could find pretty much anybody, at least in the United States. I don't know anywhere else in the world necessarily, but at least in the United States, that there is one person who doesn't know at least 3 of those 5.
Okay, so
And
pick another year.
But
and
what,
we'll
no,
see.
but what I'm saying is the immediacy of the media, which is what everybody from a certain generation likes to say now. Some of the people that I work with have said that too. They're like, oh, it's just because you have the. I disagree because again, 2015. Even okay, go to.
Okay, I'm on 2000. I'm on 2011. Okay.
Okay.
Muammar Gaddafi, Osama bin Laden, Elizabeth Taylor, Amy Winehouse, Steve Jobs.
Those are the top 5. See, those are impactful names. And one could argue that media was, I don't want to say it was less, because let's see, 2011, I was out of high school. Twitter, I think, was 2006, 2007. Facebook was maybe a few years after that. It kind of hit its really big boom.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't get on Facebook until like 2009, I think.
But so my point is, those things, even though they were still, I don't want to say they were in their infancy, they weren't as popular as they are now. But 2011, which one could argue social media was lesser than it is now, versus 2015. So it's not necessarily about the immediacy of the media. And that's the big argument that I'm against in terms of this discussion.
No, what I'm saying, I'm not saying that it was. Sorry, I was playing with something. If you heard a scratchy sound in the background, there was something on the seat next to me. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the immediacy of the media and how fast we learned about it and how much of an uproar the deaths seemed to cause. Because, and it's weird, but at the beginning of the year, because the beginning of the year bleeds into the end of the year, as far as, oh my gosh, all these deaths.
I don't necessarily agree, because
I think that we take. Personally, I think people take notice more at the beginning of the year because we're, the 1 year is past, the next year is starting. And then by the end of the year, then you've got this huge body of wow, look at all these people who died in this year. And I mean,
I-
granted, in December we had a crap ton of deaths. It
I
was
don't-
like you couldn't
I-
turn sideways.
no. See, I
and
don't-
without bumping into somebody, which sounded really bad. That was horrible.
I don't necessarily. Yeah, that was. The internet's gonna love you.
Oh, yeah.
I don't
That was a
necessarily.
supernatural moment. You turn sideways and you bump into somebody who's dead. No, no, no.
I don't necessarily agree though, because you just said the other day, I said something about, I believe it was either David Bowie or Alan Rickman, and you said it seems like it was because those, as I said, those anniversaries just happened like mere days ago.
Confess
And you-
to the internet that it's your fault that all this happened.
What?
Oh, what did you
Oh
post
yes,
the other
yes.
day?
No, I actually,
This is
yeah.
all 2016 is all Paul's fault.
Yes.
He did this.
I found on Facebook they have that, on this day thing or memories or whatever, and on January 14th, 2016, I said Powerball, Bowie, Powerball again, and now Alan Rickman. How many more things can we lose? And when that just popped up the other day, I reposted it and said, on that day, Paul asked a question, and that dastardly year 2016 took it as a damn challenge. We had no idea what we were in for. I would like to take this moment to personally apologize to the world and the interweb world. I'm sorry. Everyone can put the blame of 2016 on me.
You never, ever, ever ask, how much worse can it be? That is the
I know, and the
biggest
funny thing is,
swear
I tell
word.
people that all the time.
It's
People
the biggest
always,
curse you can
especially
do
people
is-
like I work with or whatever, they're like, "Oh, can today get any worse?" And I'm like, "Oh, you never ask that question."
I was in Family Dollar the other day, and somebody asked one of the cashiers, how's your day? And she said, same shit, different day. And I said, well, it could be worse. And she looked at me funny, and I said, it could be the same day with different shit. And she went, I never thought of it that way, because, if you have the same thing happening over and over again, that's bad. But if you keep having, in the same day, you keep having new shit happening, that can get really, really bad.
Gotta point that out, people. No problem. Multiple uses of the word shit. But,
Hey,
it's...
I'm going to make him go back and beep all those out, so you're going to think I said something worse anyway.
No.
Yeah.
No
No
beeping. But yeah, it's just like I said. I disagree with the immediacy of the media argument. Now, I mentioned to somebody at work the other day about when the new year was happening, everybody's what are your plans? What are your plans? What are your plans? And I said I wanted to stay up, and I said 2016 killed enough. I wanted to watch it die, and somebody went off about 2016 wasn't so bad. Oh, what? Because Princess Leia died. And to me, I was like, no, it just, there seemed like, in terms of celebrities, which I don't really have much of a personal life. I really don't. I talk with a few friends, but they mostly live elsewhere. So I text with them or I'll talk with them on Skype or whatever. But pretty much my world revolves around reading the internet, reading, celebrity news, because I love television. I love movies. So I really want to be in that world one day. So I tend to read a lot about that world. So a lot of my life and whatever focuses on celebrities. So yes, when a lot of celebrities, especially ones that had such a cultural impact on I don't know if I want to say my generation or whatever, but David Bowie, music, and of course in my family the movie Labyrinth is huge.
Yeah, and it's not just me.
No, it's not.
It's the
It's
aunts, it's the cousins.
Yeah, that
we're
movie is pretty
Yeah.
much anybody in one side of my family, you ask them about the movie Labyrinth and everybody will get a big smile on their face.
Yeah.
But I mean that movie, of course, and just him musically, I'm at least a huge fan of his.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of music, I don't want to say I'm a big fan of Prince, but I do like Prince. I enjoy Prince, of course. George Martin, the producer of the Beatles.
Yeah.
I am a huge Beatles fan. My father was a huge Beatles fan. I'm
still-
named after one of the Beatles.
In all fairness, your father still is a big Beatles fan. You made it sound like he's not with.
Oh,
well,
I
he's
did.
not with us anymore.
Yeah, no,
but,
I didn't mean to make it sound like that. But Carrie Fisher, of course, from Star Wars, and
I had an issue. We were talking about it the other day, and we were talking about the fact that Alan Rickman had passed, and this past year I went to see Through the Looking Glass, and when you heard Alan Rickman's voice as the caterpillar, and well, in Through the Looking Glass he's the butterfly, but it was just like I started to cry. And of course, Paul is going to tell y'all that I cry at diaper commercials.
To be fair, my mother cries at pretty much everything. I've been watching a lot of Boy Meets World recently, one of my all-time favorite shows, and I don't even remember what happened, but somebody made some sort of comment, and I immediately turned and looked at her because she started to get tears in her eyes. And I wrote something. Any of you who are friends with me on Facebook know the thing that I just wrote the other day about Corey and Topanga, and how when people of almost any age who are, they go from relationship to relationship and they talk about how they're in love and whatever, and I kind of roll my eyes, but yet every time I rewatch Boy Meets World, there's the episode, it's a 2-part episode where Topanga's parents, and anybody who doesn't like Boy Meets World, I'm sorry, but you're going to get a bit of a story here. Topanga's parents move from Philadelphia to Pittsburgh, which is about 2 hours, 2.5, 3 hours away from each other. I know it's from one side of the state to the other, but it's not really a big state, honestly, because it takes us about 2 hours, 2.5 hours to get
Let's
to
consult
Philly.
Google Maps and see how far it is. But continue.
But so anyway, so they move from pretty much one side of the state to the other side of the state, and they're, Corey's incredibly depressed the entire episode, and the parents are like, oh, you shouldn't have these feelings for just one girl, and he's like, I love her, and at the one point he goes to open the door, and there she is in the soaking rain. In the soaking rain? That doesn't sound right. But she's there, and she's, soaking wet because it was raining, and she I don't know if she walked or whatever, but she got all the way back to him because they love each other. And I said on Facebook about how, when they say it, no matter how old they are, I believe in love that that those characters, because those characters are real to me, because I'm a loser. But I posted this giant thing. Again, those of you who are friends with me on Facebook know this. You saw it. And I was reading it to my mother, and she started to get tears in her eyes.
I can't help it. It's a really bad thing that started happening, I don't even know how many years ago. But I have no control over the fact of when the tears start. They just come. I don't sob. He always says, my mom cries over everything. No, I don't cry over everything, but I do tear up a lot. A lot. I can't read things that one of my brothers posts constantly about our dad. And as soon as I start to read, I get tears in my eyes.
One day, you look like you're starting to get tears in your eyes right now.
As soon as I say the words, my dad, I'm done.
One day, I do want to sit you down and get some stories about
my dad?
About your dad from you. Crying or not.
If I can get through them.
By the way, folks, she just looked it up. You probably looked it up in the time that it's taken us to go through all this. About 4 hours, apparently.
Almost 5, because it said 4 hours and 41 minutes.
Yeah. But yeah, okay, so almost 5 hours to get from one side of the state to the other, which I didn't think was right, because that doesn't seem right to me.
When I was younger, the only time I actually considered going, well, not that I actually considered going to college, but when I was in high school, one of my friends said, hey, I'm going to check out a college in Pittsburgh. You want to go? Okay, so it took us 8 hours to drive from where we live in Northeast Pennsylvania to Pittsburgh. So, yeah. And we counted, I don't even want to tell you, but we counted critters on the road. Like, that was our thing. Because we left at like
What do you mean
5
critters on the road?
They were splatted, like
dead deer and things like that?
Yeah.
It's funny because
Yeah, there were a whole ton of them on the way out. It was disgusting.
really,
Oh yeah, and I can't believe I counted them. I think
yeah, I don't know why you would do that.
because it was something to do. Because I didn't want to follow. Well, because she was driving. Because I don't drive, so I had to stay awake to make sure that she stayed awake. So I was trying to be observant to the things that were going on around us. So yeah.
Yeah, but you couldn't count mile markers or something. You
I
had
don't
to count
know.
dead
I
things
don't
on the
know.
road.
I just saw her at our class reunion, and she's like, "Hey, do you remember that trip we made to Pittsburgh?" Yeah. Sorry, I'm tapping on the table and making noise. Yeah, I remember the trip we made to Pittsburgh. We had a lot of fun. And because I was teasing her, and she was like, "Yeah, I was going to go there. My parents sent the deposit check and everything." And I went, "Really?" It was an all-girls school. Like, I just couldn't picture her going to an all-girls school. And of course there were classes that crossed over and whatever, but this has nothing to do with the conversation. Okay,
No, it's fine.
back to the Grim Reaper of 2016.
Yeah, I kind of think we covered everything. I didn't think it would take. I thought it would take us a lot longer, but I think we kind of covered the basic points, because I'm still on the record as saying I don't think it was the immediacy of the media, but it's also, and I do agree, because some people are like, oh well, it's the cultural impact of the people, and this year to me, and you listed other years that had, like 2009 had a lot of Michael Jackson, Farrah Fawcett, Patrick Swayze, Brittany Murphy. Those are, impactful, not as impactful as Muhammad Ali, Prince, Carrie Fisher, Debbie Reynolds, David Bowie, Alan Rickman, George Martin.
Okay, so we were talking about that list from Wikipedia, and it was theoretically the top 30, and it says the list, I'm going back to the BuzzFeed article, and it says the list takes two factors into account. The first is how many other English language Wikipedia links to the person's Wikipedia biography. These so-called backlinks could be considered to be crudely measures of that person's importance to the rest of the English-speaking world. And the second metric was the number of different language editions of Wikipedia, English Wikipedia, Swahili Wikipedia, German Wikipedia, that include a biography for that person, a rough approximation of that person's international relevance. It says, we then identified for each year the biographies that appeared in at least 20 editions of Wikipedia and had the highest number of English backlinks. So basically they're trying to say that their list was made up of people who other people identified. That's all relative in a manner of speaking, because one of the top people that was listed was Fidel Castro. Was he a popular figure? No. Was he...
No, but he had a cultural significance.
Exactly, a cultural significance. But some of those people, I never even heard, and I'm not unwell read. So,
right.
Like, some of those people, I don't know who they are, and that makes me feel bad, because obviously somebody with some kind of cultural significance passed away that I know nothing about. I'm going to spend the next week going through that list going, who was that person? And if Paul lets me talk to you again someday, I'll say, hey, I found out who that person was. And you'll go, yeah, who cares?
That was months ago, Mom. No one on the internet cares. We have a short attention span, us millennials.
Yeah, it's amazing, Everything.
She actually, because of the short attention span thing, she actually gets on my case, because I think that these podcasts should be about an hour, and she's like, no one wants to listen to you talk for an hour.
When you think about the fact that we went from movies to TV, right? So you went from, an hour and a half to 2 hours down to an hour to 30 minutes, and then it went to YouTube, which was an average of maybe 15 minutes, which is now way less, down to what are Vines, 6 seconds or some kind of nonsense like that. You know what I mean?
But see,
everything is condensed. Get as much as you can. And there are people who, do full stories in that amount of time in a Vine. That's not necessarily entertainment, but it says something about our attention span. Like, we have the attention span of toddlers. or babies, because they have no understanding of object permanence. When something falls on the floor, it's completely gone from the world. They have no idea that it's actually on the floor up to a certain age. Did you know that?
Yes.
Okay. So,
But thank you for making me,
No, I was
asking
just-
me that on my show and being like, ooh, I think Paul's an idiot because he
didn't
doesn't.
think that, but you don't know. You're not an expert on babies. Come on, you've held the. You're 26 years old, right?
Yes.
On your 26th birthday,
Yes.
you held an infant for the first time.
I don't know if that's 100% true.
Okay, what other infant would you have held?
Did well, let's see. They're in their teens now, but I was around when Hob and Morgan were kids,
Yeah,
were
but you really-
babies.
but you
I was
really-
around when
His cousins,
Yeah.
Nobly. Her little brother started calling her. He couldn't call her Nobi, so he called her Hobby. So now she's Hob.
Hob. But
Poor little girl.
I was around when they were babies. I was around when when their little brothers were babies.
But not. You didn't hold a baby as small as Alyssa.
But I don't remember.
I don't.
That's what I'm saying. I don't
remember
know.
you holding. Well, let's put it this way: you weren't really around when Hob was a baby.
I was around Morgan though.
Well, Hob and Morgan are only a couple months apart.
But
No.
but I was, because remember I used to go over to her parents' house because they lived right behind us, because I would go over there like 2-3 times a week and watch wrestling. Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
You can think about it all you
Well, no,
want. I know
because
that it's true. That's, by the way, folks, that's another thing. My mother never trusts me. And
No, I'm just trying to put it together in my head because I didn't meet them, although I've known Tommy for 30 years. I didn't meet Missy and Manda and Penny and the rest of them until they were pregnant with Nobi and Morgan.
but I'm telling you, because
Okay.
because Missy lived right behind us, and I used to go over there.
I know you used to go over and watch wrestling.
And I would watch wrestling, and so obviously it had to be when Morgan was at least born.
Yeah, but I... Excuse me. Sorry.
Sorry, folks. Told you we were sick,
Sorry about that. My bark is much worse than my bite.
but I'm trying to not have to cut this episode, so you're gonna have to deal. You dealt with that coughing. Sorry.
I didn't sneeze on you, so you're in luck. Because that's disgusting.
But
Trust me. Have you ever had a kid sneeze on you? It's gross.
But yeah, so I would.
Okay, so
again,
you have-
no. I'm not saying I did, but I'm saying
just-
I could have.
I just
I don't remember.
I don't remember you being around the kids. But anyway, I do know the terrified look on your face when I asked you to hold Alyssa and you went, you know.
Yeah, no, I don't. I
do
like
babies.
I like kids. I'm not a fan of babies
Of
though.
course, then again, he, afterwards, the next day when she vomited all over me, he went, see, that's why I don't want to hold babies, because they do that.
Yep. And I have no. You know what it is? Honestly, for me, it's the support the head thing.
Yeah.
That
Well,
freaks me right out.
Well,
and
I-
I'm not afraid to admit that. It freaks me out.
I think a lot of it is the fact that you're so big and they're so small too. You know, like that scares
Possible.
that scares a lot of guys. You know, it's like I could break them, but you really can't. They're really tough. You know, it's support their
it's-
head so that they don't hurt themselves.
Yeah,
but,
it's the support the head thing that just freaks me out because you know,
but she liked you and she smiled, so that was a good
she's
thing.
a baby. She smiles at a cup, if you know.
Actually, that's not true, but you know.
Yeah, now I feel like we kind of ran out of things to talk about, and that bums me out a little bit. What you got?
I don't know. Let's see if there's anything more in the article. Okay, so of the deaths in 2016 or whatever you want to say, which one impacted you the hardest? Like I said, when I went to see Through the Looking Glass, and you know, Alan Rickman's death really hit me. It was only really shortly after we went to see Rogue One, like what, less than a month after we saw Rogue One? That
No, because Rogue One was just in
not
December. Rogue One just happened in
all right,
December.
so then it was like less than 2 weeks after we had seen
Because Rogue
that.
One was like, it came out, I think, the day before my birthday. Or the day of my birthday.
Oh, that's right, it was your birthday, and then that following week we went to see it.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
So that would have been the week of Christmas.
Right, so within 2 weeks was Carrie Fisher's death. And it was funny, somebody posted a video of Debbie Reynolds and Van Johnson, I think, dancing and singing and whatever. And I love Debbie Reynolds as an actress. I loved her. There was a movie that if I can find it, I would love to see it again. The Unsinkable Molly Brown. Absolutely love that.
Kathy Bates in the Titanic movie.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. But
I know that one.
I know. But it always when I see her, when I think about the later years, I always think of her as the mom from Will and Grace.
Yes.
You know, so there's that, you know, like, I mean, because she had an impact, you know, a huge impact through the years. Singing in the Rain. I love that, you know, and you think about it and you go, she was 19 years old or something. I think that was like her very first movie. He's pushing my hands around here, folks. Now he's making faces at me. But she was like 19 years old, I think, when that movie came out. That was like her first movie. And you think about how many years and how many people between movies and whatever. And I think it's ironic, too, because I think she was 19 years old when she did Singing in the Rain. And wasn't Carrie only 19 when she did...
She was I don't think she was 19, but she was pretty young, yeah.
When she did Star Wars, you know, so it's like the fact that they both started so very young and had...
Well, it's funny because Billie Lourd is only, I think, 22, 23 now,
Yeah.
So she's, you know,
but,
third generation right there.
She's following in their footsteps, but it's like the mother and daughter had such an impact on people's, you know, like, I don't know, to say they had an impact on my life sounds like really lame, but, you know, movies influence your life.
Believe me, I know.
And I mean, I grew up watching musicals and that kind of stuff, and my son is bowing his head like, oh dear God, my mother and musicals, because I do watch a lot of them. I like them. He hates them.
That's not true. I like Grease. I like Rent. High School Musical was my jam at a certain point. Yeah, that's right, internet. Take that. Blame me for 2016 and make fun of me for... Oh, Mom.
Sorry.
And make fun of me for liking High School Musical. I don't care. I dig that stuff sometimes, but like I have no interest in seeing like Mamma Mia.
Oh, I like that one.
Of course you do.
Squeaked out of there.
You know what I mean? Like so it's not like I don't need to see like every musical.
It's funny because your dad used to say, I don't understand the concept of people walking down the street and bursting into song.
Oh, I don't get it really either. It doesn't make any sense to me.
It's a device. It's just like anything else, you know.
But like Mary Poppins, I don't like Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins is weird.
It just, I don't know. It's too weird for me. I just like because that's the one that he always points out, where like the father comes home and he's like, "Hello, I'm home. I want some dinner now." That doesn't happen in real life. And
do you remember the day we were going to do that to Missy?
Yes. And I wish that's something I would love to do on somebody. Like that's one of those, you know, like people do. Wait, really quickly. Like, you know, people have done those. What did they call them when you would when everybody would synchronize and dance.
Flash mob.
Flash mob things. People would do that. I always wanted to do that, and I tried doing it on one of my cousins once, because she said something about like she really liked musicals or she really didn't like musicals. I don't remember, but the story goes that like I said like that's what we should do to her.
I think we were talking about that episode in Buffy where everybody sang for like one whole day.
Right.
And she was like, that would be so wild if that, if just one day everybody just broke into song for no reason.
And I tried getting a few people in the family to do that, but one, I couldn't write lyrics for everybody in enough time. I don't know how to write music at all. And, no one can rhyme off the top of their heads not in
our family.
Yeah. And, but I did, I did that. I'm coming down the stairs now. Hello. And like pretty much no one else. Maybe you joined in, but like pretty much nobody else.
It was pretty lame.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea is funny.
That's what I think that would be a really funny thing to do as like a flash mob type thing, is everybody all of a sudden just breaks into song, and then there's that one, because some people do it like, when they're getting engaged, or they did it with, when that was cool.
Getting engaged or getting
no,
doing the flash
mob.
Okay.
When they would be like, getting engaged, or like, because often there was times where people would just do it. They're like, we're in the mall and we're just gonna dance to, Prince or whatever.
Like that guy who did that to his girlfriend. What the heck is that song? The song about getting married.
Marry Me by Train?
That's it. Where he sat her in the back of the car and everybody was dancing around.
Or wait, was that the Bruno Mars Because You're Amazing song?
No, it was the...
Marry Me Today and Every Day.
No.
Say You Will Marry Me. That's Train.
No, that's not it.
If I ever get the nerve to say hello in this cafe, say you will marry me.
No.
That's Train.
No.
I know my Train.
What is that song? Oh, I can't think of what the heck the song is now. Because it's is it this dancing juice? Oh my gosh.
I think it's Bruno Mars you're thinking of.
But I don't think it's the... Oh.
But anyway, so, sometimes those flash mob... I keep wanting to say flash dance, but so, those flash mob things would be centered around like one person. I remember on Modern Family once.
It is Marry You. Marry You.
Marry You by Bruno Mars.
Yeah.
I thought it was... I was thinking Bruno Mars, then I thought Marry Me by Train,
yeah.
but,
We crossed our lyrics.
Yeah. But, on Modern Family one time, Mitchell participated in a flash mob to impress Cam, which is something that Cam would normally do.
Yeah.
And Cam got upset because he's like, how dare you do something that I would love without me.
Yeah.
And he's like, I did it for you to like, to impress you and show you like, yeah, I could do this. And he's like, he was just all offended. But I think it would be funny to do like a flash mob type thing like that, where instead of doing that, somebody wrote and like choreographed
it would
a
be,
musical scene, even if it was just
really
like
funny to do that at your job. Like where the
not at my job,
where the customers have no concept, but everybody that's there just sings.
No one at my job would do that.
I know that, but it would still be really cool.
It would be, but no one at my job would do that.
But I think
that's not true. I can think of maybe 3 people who would say that's a cool idea, and maybe 2 of those people might actually try it, but pretty much no one at my job would do that.
But I think that would be really cool. Like imagine going into Burger King someday and everybody behind the counter just sings to you. Like every person that you in the business, every person who works there just sings.
I don't know though, because if you're not in on it, would that be weird? Would it be?
It would be confusing, but
it would be confusing, but how do you know that you're not going to get the wrong person and they're not going to call corporate and be like, there's a bunch of weirdos here, Or like, I felt very disrespected by this and whatever, You never know.
Actually,
you might get that.
You could do one of those.
That person.
You could do one of those where it's the, what the heck is it? The candid camera kind of things where they set up a storefront. You know what I mean? And like, say set up a coffee shop.
Yeah.
Just
Well, you know,
to do that.
there's a I mean, it's not music, but you know, there's a restaurant that I see the video going around once again on Facebook, where people get the waiting staff gets paid
to be rude
to
to
be
you?
mean to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess it would be the same thing. No, you know what I think would be funny? Maybe not these guys, but on a show like Impractical Jokers. If again, not necessarily those guys, but if a show like that were to do.
Yeah, I still think it would be funny.
Which, by
just
the
to
way, Mother, you are not a fan. I don't know why I said
No.
Mother. I meant to say My Mother. Not a fan of
No.
of hidden camera shows like that.
It's not like I liked. Well, not really.
No.
I was gonna say, like Candid Camera, but I always think it's mean. Like.
But here's the thing, is the people, if you see their face, that means that they agreed to it. They allowed it to happen. You shouldn't be able to judge that's mean. If they don't think it's mean.
Well, I can still judge whether I think it's mean or not. Because I still, there are people who feel pressured into signing those papers to say. Yeah,
I don't know, because I've watched enough Impractical Jokers where they don't sign. People
No,
still.
I understand
There's that
that,
whole
but-
thing in one of the early episodes, where the Q keeps calling the guy Mustache, and he's like, "Don't call me Mustache, you clown," and he's like, "Don't call me clown, Mustache," and they literally blur out the guy's entire face except for his mustache, and they use that clip in the opening sequence where they all have like a funny little thing that they say. Sal is like, "I'm never gonna forgive you."
There was a funny news thing on this past week. They were talking about the fact that when reporters talk to somebody on the street, the first thing you say to them is, "Can you say your first and last name? And then can you spell your first and last name?" Right. So this reporter from Australia goes up to this lady and says, "Could you state your first and last name?" And she does. And then he says, "Okay, so now can you spell first and last?" And she said, "First."
yeah.
And he was so embarrassed, and she just lost it. She laughed because she thought it was part of whatever it was that they were doing. He just forgot to say name.
Yeah.
Can you spell first and last name? And she just, it was like, and they were making fun of her, making fun of the reporter, the male reporter, on the local news here. They're like, "Oh, we've all had those days, but this is so
But how is
funny."
that not mean?
It is mean. They were making fun of him. But then again, he also turned it in to have it, because I don't think it was live, because usually when they do that,
Yeah.
so either him or somebody from their news, put it out there for it to be,
Right.
to be out there. But yeah, I think it was mean that they made fun of,
Which is
fun of
weird
the
though,
person.
because like I know that you watch NCIS where Mark Harmon like slaps people and makes fun of everybody,
Oh, he
and you
doesn't.
don't.
No, that's not fair. He does not make fun of everybody. No, he doesn't. He does slap them only when they do something stupid. But sort of like
That's physical violence. That's worse than making fun of somebody.
I know. It's a love tap on the back of the head. It's sort of like when Corey and Sean walk up to each other and flick the other one in the forehead. Come here, boink.
But how do you not think that's mean?
What, that they flick them in the forehead?
And yeah, any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
If Tommy or Aunt Marie walked up and was like, "Hey, Ruth," and just like hit you, you would be
On
like,
the back of my head? No.
you would whine first of all.
Oh yeah, I whine.
You would whine. "Why'd you hit me?"
But the point is, they know why Mark Harmon smacks them. They know why Gibbs cracked them in the head. It's called the Gibbs slap. They know that, because when you say or do something stupid, that's his correction, sort of like, tsh.
Right. No, I understand the concept. You don't need to air hitting me in the head to do it.
Anyway.
But my point is, why is that okay? But, if somebody,
I don't know.
especially in the news, we literally have sat and watched YouTube videos, news bloopers.
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought
And
it
you
was,
laugh hysterically at them.
sometimes I don't. But we haven't watched them in a long time either.
Not
Anyway,
the time.
No, I know. It just, I don't know. It just seems mean to me, and
You have a very weird
I have
barometer for that kind of stuff.
I have no clue why. I have no clue why I cry. I know
Certain
have no clue.
things it's a very odd moral code that you live by for things like that.
Yeah, there are those things.
There are those things. And I think that actually just about wraps us up here. So that, your odd moral code, that's going to be the cliffhanger
Yay,
to
thanks.
get you back on the show for next time.
His mother's odd. Y'all got that now by, figured that out, right? Thanks for having me.
Thank you for finally sitting down with me. It's been, a little hectic trying to get this to work, and we didn't want to do it when we were both like, hello.
Yeah. We sounded like Monica from that episode.
I'm fine.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with me.
Well, yeah, really, we knew we were going to be covering the Year of the Reaper, and we didn't want to sound like death when we were doing it. So,
and this is the longest. I've coughed a couple times, but yeah, it's been bad. It sounds like we have a barking dog in here or something.
Yeah. But yeah, so thank you very much for being on. Hopefully we could have you back, and it doesn't necessarily have to be about your odd moral code, but I am going to have that be a topic of conversation. One day I'd like to sit you down and talk about various aspects of your father, your childhood, your family, things like that. Because, a lot of you may not know this, but her father is pretty much the most revered person in our revered, right? Would that be the right word? Yeah. I would consider myself something of a wordsmith, but every so often I have to be like, am I using that word right? He is pretty much the most revered person in our family, and being one of the youngest, I am ashamed to admit I don't really remember him at all. I see videos sometimes and I hear all the stories, and one day I'd like to pretty much get everybody in the family to sit down and talk about him, and maybe not just him, but just stories in general. But I hear so many stories, and there are a lot of things that my moral code, especially a millennial's perspective and whatever, that I don't necessarily agree with, and that would, be covered there. But, I would love to just get a better picture of the man. And I hope that one day...
The man, the myth, the legend. If you ask your uncles, that would be how they describe him.
Oh, absolutely. You would too.
I would.
Pretty much all of yous would. And I have no issue with that. And again, that's why one of the reasons that I would love to sit you down, but I don't necessarily want to cause an issue for you with the tears and whatever, because as much as I like to tease you about it, I don't...
It's really hard. My dad passed away in 1999.
And if you hear her voice, by the way, she is tearing up.
I have tears in my eyes right now.
And I'm not making fun of her for it. I'm just saying as a fact, this is the problem, is whatever her voice sounds like now, minus the scratchy throat and sniffly nose, pretty much that would be what an entire episode of stories about her father, or pretty much anything from her childhood or anything like that has to, where he's even referenced, this is how she would sound. And I'm not sure...
Yeah, it would be difficult. We grew up. I have 5 full-blood biological brothers and sisters. I hate that.
Hate it so much.
Hate it. My dad always told us that family is family, and there's no degree of family. So technically, I have a half sister. But I always say I can never figure out which half of her is mine, so I claim all of her. But my dad...
And never once, unless it was, we were learning kind of the, about the family, I don't think any of... At least me, I don't think I ever once, referred to her or heard her really referred to as your half-sister.
Never. Not from the time that she was born. She is our sister, and that's something my dad impressed upon us, that family is family, and it's one of the most important things that you'll ever be gifted with, and we're very blessed to have had him and his influence on us. And I got to stop talking about him because
that's the thing is his influence on you and your siblings is the influence on me and, well, pretty much the influence on me and my cousins. And that's the
Who
thing.
are pretty much your siblings when you come right down to it.
Right. And that's the thing, is because I don't remember him. All of my cousins from that side of the family, they all remember him. They all remember them. They all have stories about him and whatever. And I pretty much don't remember a single thing. And I want to sit everybody, at some point, I would love to sit everybody down and just get various stories. I would love to actually create a little drama and get different versions of the same story and see who remembers what differently. But, that's just me playing a little devil's advocate there.
Yeah. But anyway, we're done with talking about what we're going to do in the future because, eventually...
It's called a tease, Mom. You have to tease them. You make them want to come back for more.
I know nothing.
You make them want to come back for more. But,
if
okay,
they made it all the way to this point, they're probably going to come back anyway.
That's true.
And I mean, we thank you for that because, that's always a good thing.
Absolutely. But I pretty much promised her that this would only be an hour, and we just hit an hour and 16 seconds. So thank you once again, Mom, for being on the show.
Oh, thanks for having me on here. He just flashed his hands at me going, okay, it's your turn to talk.
Yeah,
because I got all right, stop talking now. So now it's okay to talk for just a second. All right, go ahead.
All right, so thank you again for being on the show.
Me.
And that's going to do it for this episode of Paul and All. As always, I'm your host, Paul. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. You're going to hear another thing of me at the end of this saying it all again.
And hopefully he remembers to put the links in the down.
Yeah, they will be. Don't worry.
Just
all right.
they want to check us out and make sure we did not make up all those, things.
Yeah, we made up all the celebrity deaths. So
if you caused them, you could have made them up.
Yeah. Thanks again, everybody, and have a great day. Hey, everybody, it's Paul, your host for most of the shows on the goes. Okay, that was terrible. But hopefully that episode you just listened to wasn't. So if you enjoyed it, how about you click that little like button, maybe give us a subscribe, and share it to your friends. Thanks.